Hello, everyone, and welcome back for a new episode of the 9521 Atlanta Baseball Podcast. As we are back live on X during the All-Star break and hoping to have a better start to the second half than the end of the first half. So, Jason here with you, and my partner Mike will be joining us shortly as we get started for another episode here and live on X to talk first half of Braves baseball and then look ahead to the second half as well. So a lot going on. We're going to try to pack this into about 30 minutes tonight on a little bit of a tight schedule, but a lot to cover in a little bit of time. So Mike will jump on here shortly and we'll get started with him. But in the meantime, we can go ahead and talk about the All-Star break. Would love to get some of you guys' thoughts, comment on X for us, and we'll see it. Tell us what you thought about the All-Star game in Philly. I think, overall, the game itself was, pretty mundane. Not a lot of scoring as the American League shut out the National League 4-0. The Home Run Derby was rather exciting. It was, down to the wire as Jordan Walker provided some last-minute heroics to deny the hometown favorite, Kyle Schwarber, the Home Run Derby title. Pretty devastating for the Phillies fans there, which, kind of makes us happy as Braves fans. So, but it was exciting to watch, and hometown guy Jordan Walker from the Atlanta area winning the Home Run Derby. So, having been to the Atlanta All-Star game last year, I can't believe it's been a year. That was an amazing experience for myself and my son who went with me, and just once in a lifetime chance to go see your team host an All-Star game. Typically doesn't come around very often. So hope the Phillies fans enjoyed it despite the outcome of the game. The Phillies nor the Braves really did themselves very proud during the game. Raisel Iglesias had a good inning pitching. Other than that, not much going on with the bats really for the whole National League. It wasn't just the Phillies and Braves. The National League couldn't muster much offense. So here we are at the break, and as soon as Mike is able to jump on, I will put him on with us. The Braves, finish the first half 55-40, and I think most people would definitely have taken that at the beginning of the season. If you told me the Braves would be 55-40 going in, when it all started, we do not want trivia right now. When it all started before the season, I would have taken 55-40 and 2 games up. I think it's the way that happened that has everybody a little bit on edge. Obviously, starting out so hot, really dominating baseball for the first month and a half or so, and then being really one of the worst teams in baseball for the second half of the season. But 55-40, 2 games up, and actually now thanks to the Mets, as we record this, the Mets just beat the Phillies in the only game of the day in Major League Baseball. As we come out of the All-Star break, the Mets take down the Phillies 4-1. And so the Braves actually have a 2.5 game lead now. The Phillies are only 4-6, I believe, in their last 10. So the Phillies haven't exactly been lighting it up, which is good for the Braves, or the Phillies might be in first place by now. So we'll see how that plays out. The Phillies still have, seems like to me, a little bit stronger pitching staff right now. But the Braves obviously are probably looking to make some moves here soon. So 55-40. The bad news, as I mentioned, 10-20 since June 8th. So if you guys remember, the Braves swept the Pirates June, I think it was 5th, 6th, and 7th, and then they were off on the 8th. And since that sweep, only 10-20, which is one of the worst records in Major League Baseball. And it's just been a combination of lackluster offense, some poor defensive play at times, and of course the pitching staff, especially the starters, has just really regressed. We knew it would probably happen. We knew that maybe Martin Perez couldn't continue to be the second best pitcher on the staff. Bryce Elder, kind of going through what Bryce Elder goes through. He can look like one of the best pitchers in baseball for a stretch, and then he can look like one of the absolute worst pitchers in baseball for a stretch. So hoping that we can get good Bryce Elder back as soon as possible. And there's our guy, Mike, joining us. Hey, Mike, welcome back.
Nice How we doing?
Nice jersey, man. I like it.
You like that? It's Drake.
Very cool. Very cool. I like it. I haven't got one yet, so I'm jealous. Very nice. So, yeah, we were just I was talking about the first half, and, I think every Braves fan has said this. I've heard it on multiple podcasts. If you had told us at the beginning of the season that we'd be 55-40 and 2 games up on, on the Phillies, we would have taken that. And that's absolutely true. Me and you talked about it. We would have taken that all day long.
I'm pretty sure I said that to you at some point.
You probably did. You are the more optimistic one of the two of us, for sure. I think I picked the Braves officially to be third in this division coming into the season. So there it is. The Braves aren't actually – and mentioned Mike before you jumped on. They're actually 2.5 games up now as the Mets did us a favor, took out the Phillies today in the only game on the schedule of Major League Baseball. So it's actually a 2.5 game lead now. And as I mentioned, Mike, the Phillies are only like 4-6 in their last 10. So it's not like they're burning it up. The Marlins might be the team to keep an eye on there. But, yeah, we would have taken this all day long. It's just the way that it happened, right? I mentioned that we were 10-20 now since the All-Star break. And that's really, I think, where the angst comes from for Braves fans, Mike, is the way it finished. If you flip this, if we started out poorly and then went on a run right before the All-Star game and ended up with the same record, people would be ecstatic right now. So it's all about the momentum, right?
Exactly. We'd be psyched if we were down like 10. I think do we have like 11 down? I want to say at one point, and then all of a sudden be within 2.5.
Yeah,
we'd be so happy. But
yeah,
unfortunately, it was the other side for us.
Yeah, and look, like I said, I don't think the Phillies are. They looked really good for a stretch there, just like the Braves. I mean, they both had their stretch where they kind of looked terrible and they kind of look great. The Phillies still have their issues too. Their pitching staff is probably better than the Braves right now, but they've had some issues hitting the ball outside of Schwarber and Harper. They're probably looking to pick up a bat, and they still have a -10 run differential, Mike. We are into post All-Star break, so we got 60, maybe 65, 66 games left. They still have a -10 run differential, so there's still some issues there, I think, where it's not automatic. The Philly is just so much better than Atlanta. And like I said before you jumped on, thankfully, the Phillies did hit a bit of a bump here, or they would probably be in first place at this point. But here we go, fresh slate, right? We can start over. We're going to talk about the second half. We're definitely going to talk about, the trade deadline coming up, as me and you've discussed in previous weeks. But I want to look just real quick at some numbers here just to wrap up the first half. Offensively, 21st in OBP, not great. 14th in OPS, 9th in runs, 8th in home runs. You'll take that. 27th in walks, this is kind of weird. They're 27th in walks, but they're only they're 7th best. This is not 7th most. This is 7th least amount of strikeouts, which for the Braves, that's pretty good, Mike.
It sounds like we're putting the ball in play because we're not taking walks and we're not striking out. So the only other option is putting the ball in play, whether it's base hits or right at someone. But I mean, if you're putting the bat to the ball, I'm fine with it. Yes, you're going to be unlucky sometimes, but if you're putting the bat in the ball, you get a good chance of something good happening.
Yeah, make contact. Good things generally happen, and the Braves have seen some of that this year. So not a bad deal. Speaking of walks and strikeouts, Michael Harris, who's probably been our most consistent guy, 296 now with 16 homers, 53 ribbies. He's walked 15 times, Mike, which is only one shy of his total from last season. And I think we know the answer to what, only 6 stolen bases. He's had 20 in 4 of his last 5 seasons, but obviously the back trouble limiting his ability to steal bases. Maybe second half if he loosens up, maybe the All-Star break. A lot of angst around Mikey not making the All-Star team, but honestly, he got extra rest. That's a few days off for him, rest the back, and then hopefully he can come back stronger. I hate it for him. I wish he could have been in the All. He should have been in the All-Star game, no question. Definitely deserved to be, in my opinion, the All-Star center fielder starter. But on the bright side, a little bit of rest for Mikey.
Well, what it was, a Pages that started.
Yeah,
yeah. I mean, I can't say. For me, 1A, 1B, I think they were just as good as each other. Pages had a great start to the season, so that was in a lot of people's minds, and that's probably why he.
He's a Dodger. He's a Dodger, which the Braves have a pretty good national following as well. But I think being a Dodger never hurts, right?
No, it never does.
Mr. Olson just doing Matt Olson things. 267, 25 homers, 58 RBI. Not much more to say about him. That's what you expect from Matt Olson. He's on pace to do more than 40 homers. He's just the guy in the middle of that lineup that you expect to do. He's going to strike out a good bit. He's going to frustrate you sometimes with that. But overall, he's going to do what Matt Olson does, and he continues to show that maybe the Freddie Freeman deal wasn't such a bad move by AA after all.
Yeah, I mean, at this point, you couldn't expect Freddie to continue at the same level that he was when he in 2021. At this point, 5 years later, he's getting nothing but older. So the expectations is he's going to go down, and Matt is opposite. He was on the rise, and this was you have to go into it and think ahead of time. I think of it like football when Brady was coming near the end of his career and Belichick drafted Garoppolo. Like he was trying to say, well, you're almost get to the point where you start to decline. Same thing with Freddie. You're going to get to the point where you start to decline, and I need to find someone to replace you, and that's what AA did.
For sure, yeah, no doubt. I mean, Matt's in his prime. He's still, I think, 4 years younger than Freddie, 5 maybe. So it looks like the right move at this point, and we all love Matt, even though he's a super quiet guy. It's funny when he gets excited because you're kind of caught off guard by it, but it seems like he had a really good time at the All-Star game. Great experience for him. And then Ozzie, our starting second baseman in the All-Star game, 267, 14 homers, 51 RBI. And Ozzie's probably been more consistent. I mean, he's been kind of a streaky hitter all his career, but he's had a couple of dips this year, but really he's been huge for Atlanta in this first half and rightfully earned a spot on the All-Star team, starting second baseman on the All-Star team.
Yeah, I mean, I'm glad he got the nod. I honestly, I think Bryce Turang probably should have gotten it, but I'm not going to complain if Ozzie gets the start.
No, I might have voted for Turang. I might have. I won't say that out loud. I guess I just said it out loud. I might have voted for Bryce Turang, but I followed Turang's career for a long time, so I like that guy, even though I don't love the Brewers that much. But yeah, I'm just happy for Ozzie though. That's a great honor for him. Wish one of the guys could have gotten a hit, but it's like I said before you jumped on, nobody on the National League was hitting. So it wasn't just the Braves. The Phillies did not acquit themselves well either. And then the rest of the National League was not good as far as hitting the baseball.
Yeah, the scoring was basically over in the first. It was 3-0 after the first, and they only the AL scored one more, and that was it. Yeah.
Speaking of pitching, on the bright side for the Braves, Chris Sale, 9-6, would be better at the win-loss record if they scored some runs for him. 2.2 ERA, 117 Ks and 98 innings pitched. I think they've done a pretty good job of limiting his innings. He's also had a lot of games where he just frankly didn't look like he was going to get to the 7th or 8th inning. So, but I think that's a good thing. As we get down the stretch, though, I do wonder, do we keep giving him extra days, or do we need Chris Sale in there every 5 days, Mike, to try to get through this stretch and win the division?
I think through July and maybe like the first half of August to maybe get him in there to make sure we keep that lead. But I think come late August and September, I don't have a problem with that extra day to give him keep him a little bit rested going into the playoffs. Because as sky is falling a couple weeks ago.
Yeah,
we're making the playoffs. It'd be very hard for us to miss out of the playoffs at this point.
I hope so. We'll talk about that. I hope so, and I do agree with you. I think it will be very hard. So we'll talk about that right now. I do believe the Braves are going to make the postseason, and I still think one thing people need to understand about me. In the moment, I will be very irritated and express that irritation. And then after I calm down and take a stock of things, I'll be like, okay, here's where we're at. But I've mentioned this to you before, and I'll give the shorter version here because I'm up against some time tonight. But the psyche of the Atlanta Braves fan is very fragile because, quite frankly, and being honest, we've had a lot of postseason failures. Not only have we had a lot of postseason failures, we've had postseason failures with teams that we feel like should have won, at least gotten to a World Series, and didn't even get that far. So 2022, 2023 come to mind recently. But if you're as old as we are, you can go back to the 90s when we only got the one World Series title and all those tries. So I think when Braves fans get so upset, it's because they look at the team and they see, when we're going through what we went through in June, they see the deficiencies that will cause, even if they recover from it and they start playing better, they see the deficiencies that will cause them to not be as good as the Dodgers and the Brewers and the Cubs and the Phillies come playoff time. They're projecting ahead to the playoffs. Now, whether that's fair or not, it doesn't matter. And I do get tired of the Twitter thought police, trying to tell Braves fans how they should or shouldn't think. Look, if you want to be negative and vent on X, go ahead. Vent all you want to. If you want to be Mr. Positivity all the time, that's fine too. Nobody should be telling you how to think. You do whatever you got to do to get through a baseball season because baseball fans are just different, man. We're different. We stress about 162 games a year. There's no other sport like it. Do what you got to do. But I think that is part of it, Mike, as we project ahead to the postseason and we think right now, if we had to play the Dodgers in a 7-game series, we are going to get thumped, right?
Yeah.
But this is not the team that we most likely not the team. Well, not most likely. This is definitely not the team that we will carry into October. That could be for better or for worse. And we're going to talk about that in a second. But you can't project ahead. You just got to live in the moment. Every team has, some kind of dip throughout the season, except maybe the 2001 Mariners, but then they lost in the postseason, right? So once things are taken stock of, we're in a good spot. We got 60-something games left to go. We're in first place, 2.5 games up, and our division rival's not exactly burning up the road either. So exactly. What are your thoughts, Mike, as we head into the second half here?
I mean, I think I feel like the Phillies got their good stretch out of them. I'm not going to say they're not going to be. They're going to all of a sudden crap the bed like they did at the beginning of the season. But we were riding high, they were low, and we kind of just did this. Now they could go back down. I mean, I'm not like. I would love to say that we're going to win the division by like 6-7 games, but we don't know that. We could stay where we are, and that's if we stay where we are right now, I'm okay. Yeah. Because we built that lead in, and we've got enough to kind of coast for a little while. Hopefully, in that time, some of our hitters can, find their stroke and come out of the funks that they're in. I'm looking at you, Austin Riley.
Please, Austin Riley. But it's hard to watch. It's hard to watch right now. It really is.
I know. It's those pitches on the outside that he needs to swing at in his head, and it's like
he can't help himself. Yeah,
he can. Yeah. Every one of them looks good, but then he's frustrating. But I mean, everyone else is like. Drake didn't come back exactly, on fire. Yeah, the first at bat back. Other than that, not really. Yeah. He's kind of come back a little bit, as right before the end of the first half. But I mean, if we can wake up some of the bats in late August, early September, and carry that momentum going into October, I think we'll be fine, and we should number one win the division and maybe make some noise. But if we're just going to stay like we are and not be able to hit, we're getting, like you said, thumped by the Dodgers.
Yeah, and look, we talked last night on clearing the bases. Is everybody just playing for second place in the National League because of the Dodgers? I think that's where the frustration is too. We know the Braves are right there. They're right there. We competed with the Dodgers in 2021. We Probably could have done it in 22 and 23 if we could have got past the Phillies. But we're right there, and I don't think it's going to take much. It's going to take a little bit of luck because we need one of these pitchers that's coming back, whether it's Swellenbach, AJ Smith-Shawver, Hurston Waldrop. We need one of them to find their form. We need Sale to stay healthy. And this is what I said last night on that show, Mike, is when you have to say the word if too many times, that's when you get worried. If Chris Sale stays healthy, if AJ Smith-Shawver comes back and is the same as he was before, if Hurston Waldrop finds it again, if the bats come alive, and that's what worries me. And as we move into that discussion, the thing that worries me the most right now is, are there going to be enough teams that are selling at the deadline for the Braves to fill their needs? Because darn near everybody's still in the playoff race at this point. Even the Minnesota Twins are still in the playoff race.
Yeah, I'm looking right now to see how far, like, especially the AL. Last place in the AL wild card is the Angels. They're 10 out. Kansas City, they're also 10 out. But other than that, it's the A's who were 6.5 out. Detroit's 3.5 out. There's not a whole lot of teams, like you said, that are out of it.
Yeah, even the Nationals, the Marlins, teams that we thought probably would, be out of it. And the Nationals especially have some really talented players that we thought maybe other teams could get a hold of, including the Braves. And apparently the Nationals have talked internally about trading both James Wood and C.J. Abrams, which just blows my mind. But, yeah, you look at the AL, the Blue Jays are in last place in the AL East, and you still feel like they got a shot. The Royals are out of it. They could be sellers, but I don't know they have a lot of pieces that people are going to want or they're going to part with. The Angels will be sellers, and they've traditionally been a big trade partner with the Braves, but, they don't have a general manager right now. So that could be a hindrance. And then in the National League, the Mets obviously are out of it. Will the Mets trade with the Braves, being divisional rivals? I don't know. Reds, maybe. I've been a kind of a advocate for maybe getting J.J. Bleday. And then Rockies and Giants. That's pretty much your absolute for sure sellers. And after that, it gets pretty thin, man.
Yeah, no, you're dead on. Yeah, the Rockies are 13.5 games out. They're out. I don't see. Am I?
No, you're there. I'm playing with it. I messed up, but you're there. We can hear you. I'll get you back in a second.
Okay. I'm like I disappeared, but down the bottom
I promise. I'm having issues here.
Rockies are out of it. They're 13.5 games back. The Giants are 10.5 games back. Cincinnati's 8 games out in the NL. But those are really the only sellers there. You mentioned the Marlins. The Marlins right now are in a playoff spot.
Yeah,
they are a game up on St. Louis, so they are the third wild card right now. But yeah, outside of, you said Toronto being last place in the AL East, they're 2.5 games out of a playoff spot.
Right. Yeah.
That's right in the thick of it, especially right now.
Even the Red Sox, who looked like they would be sellers, and the Braves have been linked to Sonny Gray for 2 years, but especially this trade deadline. Well, now the Red Sox are right there back in it. The Twins, who've been mentioned, it's been mentioned, Byron Buxton, Joe Ryan. Even the Twins, who I'm not even sure the Twins want to make the postseason at this point. They're probably trying to rebuild, but now they're right there. So I don't know, Mike. That's what worries me is, can Anthopoulos find enough trade partners to make impact moves? Because it's going to take – I said this a few weeks ago. I was trying to read between the lines. I think Anthopoulos was telling us a few weeks ago, guys, I'm not going to make the moves that you want me to make. Maybe not because I just don't want to do it, but because there's not going to be anybody to do it with. And I don't want to mortgage the farm to get a couple players that might not make a difference. If we can't get the pieces in place to compete with the Dodgers, and the Brewers are pretty good too, I don't want to waste our talent on the farm this season to go for it if we're not going to get there. The National League is it's a gauntlet, man. Not only those two teams, the Cubs look pretty good, the Phillies are still good. Heck, the Marlins may be on the come up. The Cardinals, I mean, they just took 2 series from us. There's a lot of good teams in the National League. You got to survive to get through to the World Series, and I'd hate to give up some of our best prospects just to lose in the first round again.
Yeah, and like my thought is when it comes to getting people at the deadline, I don't want anyone huge. I don't want to mortgage the farm. I don't have a problem with making some deals, getting someone like a JJ Bleday or something like that.
Yeah.
Or someone off of Colorado. That would not cost us much. Like, I'm not saying cash considerations. I'm saying like, a low level player that they'd be willing to do. So I have no problem with that, but yeah, I don't want to mortgage the farm. I don't want to go after Tarik Skubal.
I don't either. I think that would, and I do not see. I don't know where those rumors come from, and maybe they're true. I just don't see. That's not an Anthopoulos move. No. To go out and get a rental guy for 60 games or less, really, and no guarantees there. Yeah, it'd be great to have Tarik Skubal as your number 1 or number 2 with Chris Sale going into a playoff series, but again, that doesn't guarantee anything if you're going up against the Dodgers, the Phillies, or the Brewers. I mean, it gives us a better chance, obviously. And I think he's going to do something similar to what he did in 2021, Mike. He's probably going to take a chance on a few guys, particularly on the pitching staff, on the pitching side. Maybe one bat, but I think he's going to do similar to 2021, except going all in on some hitters. He's going to take a chance on a few pitchers that aren't top-of-the-line pitchers and see if we can piece this thing together and get to the postseason where anything, admittedly, can happen in a short series and take his chances. Because I don't think he'll mortgage the farm to go after a guy like Skubal or, I mean, I don't even know big names as far as pitching out there. I mean, it's pretty much Skubal, right? I mean, depends on how you classify the other guys.
Maybe Joe Ryan,
yeah.
Sonny Gray, yeah. I don't even know if Sonny Gray's that big of a name. Like he probably should have been at the All-Star game, but is he? He's not the level of Skubal.
Like, I don't think anybody's going to be like, oh, the Braves are the favorites now with Sonny Gray.
No. Yeah. Exactly. Yeah. Not to crap on him. He's a good pitcher, but he's not going to all of a sudden, we're going to be World Series favorites at that point.
Yeah, he's not a game changer. So, Mike, what is when we get past the trade deadline, and you don't have to be specific about players, but what do you really want to see just overall? If it's a successful trade deadline, what will that look like to you?
A few pieces, like a bullpen arm, maybe a starting arm, and then 1 or 2, like, I don't want to say bench pieces, but maybe either someone that's bench / possibly could, get some playing time also.
Yeah.
I do have a slide ready, but I know you're up against it, so we can go over that.
I was wondering what you had there. We'll put it up there.
Okay. So that, like, yeah, I was thinking someone like a JJ Bleday to platoon with Yaz in left, and then someone like a Mickey Moniak from Colorado, which, again, both of those probably not going to cost a whole heck of a lot when it comes to, minor league capital. I feel like they'll probably be okay with just stuff like that and be able to survive with what we got. And I've got Doobie playing it short. Yeah. Jarvis, I think, is pretty good right now. I don't know if he's going to be able to last in the majors. So that's why I kind of had Doobie there.
Yeah, it's a small sample size, and look, he could be a diamond in the rough. Maybe he turns out to be a guy that we can count on. It'd be great, at least if he's serviceable, to have that flexibility with him and Dubon there once we get Acuna back and Dubon can go back to playing in the infield. I like this lineup. I mean, I'd be good with this, especially if it doesn't cost us a whole lot. I'm a big fan, like I said, of Bleday in that spot. I didn't think about Mickey Moniak, but I think that would be a good move as well. I'd be okay with that. You look at that lineup; it's pretty deep, man. That's a long lineup, Yeah, I would be okay with that. I just think you said it earlier, and I don't want to beat this dead horse to death, but you got to have Austin Riley give you something.
Yeah,
he's got to give you something in these last 60+ games, and maybe this time off, maybe he's been at home, maybe he's been playing on his iPad, figuring things out. I don't know, but hopefully he will give us some semblance of the Austin Riley we've seen in the past. I like that lineup. On the pitching side, I want to see a couple of pitchers. They don't have to be superstars, not Scooble. But, yeah, here you go. I would be happy with Casey Mize. I would be ecstatic if we get 2 solid starting pitchers. I don't know who that other one might be yet, but I would be really – I'd love to have a Logan Webb. I'd probably settle for Robbie Ray because I don't think they're going to trade Logan Webb. But if we had Casey Mize, Robbie Ray, I don't know how realistic that is, make the additions you have on the batting side, I think we can go to war with that. I mean, I think we can compete with that, assuming the rest of the guys on the team do what we expect them to do.
Yeah, exactly. And Casey, I put Casey Mize on there because that was the name that I threw in there. But if we don't get him, someone like a Robbie Ray, same kind of thing. So that person could slide in there too. And right now, I would probably put him. If using Mize as the idea there, I would probably put him 2 in front of Waltrip and Smith-Shawver because we don't really know. I mean, I think AJ's is he up to Gwinnett now? I know he was.
I believe so. Yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
I think so. Yeah.
So he's up to AAA, and Waltrip's back, and I mean, right? I can't take Martin Perez out right now at this point. So.
Yeah,
I feel like you got to keep it. I mean, yes, he's injured with getting the shot off the arm there, but at this point, I feel like he's probably got to be the number 5 at that point. Yes, that means there is no Bryce Elder there. My thought was maybe to get someone like a Casey Mize or a Robbie Ray, it might cost her Bryce Elder.
Yeah,
and I don't really have a problem with that.
I don't either. Let's package Bryce with Carrasco and get him out of here. Let's go. No,
Bryce and the cookie.
Yeah. The only thing you look at this, Mike, and you know, the good thing about the postseason is you don't need 4 or 5 good starters because you got the shortened series with days off in between. You need 2 really good starters, I feel like, and then you can have guys like Grant Holmes and maybe Raylo in the bullpen at that point, and these other guys take over as the starters, and you just got to get the starters to go 4 good innings, and you can turn it over to that bullpen with Fuentes and Grant Holmes and Raylo, and then hopefully a healthy Suarez and a healthy Dylan Lee and Iggy. You know, the bullpen's there, man. The bullpen's there, and if you add Grant Holmes and Raylo back to that bullpen in the postseason, I think you got the makings of a pretty dominant staff out there that can, you know, if we can score some runs and the starters can just do a decent job, you got a shot in the postseason.
Yeah, and I don't even have Grant Holmes on this, and I just overlooked him, honestly. But yeah, easy to do. But you can't take Fuentes out. I feel like Lopez / Holmes are kind of like the same kind of thing. Yeah. So either or, and then Kinley, before he got injured and then was out on paternity, I felt like he was doing pretty well. So I have no problem with him there. And then Dylan Lee, you can't get any better than a lefty right now in the bullpen than Dylan Lee. Yeah. We have Danny Young. I was thinking maybe picking up someone like a Tyler Holton from Detroit, and Dylan Dodd. I mean, you could take out Dodd and put Holmes as a righty on there too. It's a lot of there's a lot of fluctuation there, but whoever's working at that point, it's whoever's dealing. I'm fine with it.
Yeah, I think Danny Young is going to be a huge part of this team in the second half. If he can give us quality innings, he's looked pretty good so far. If he can give us quality innings, I think that's huge. I would like to see us get one more really good lefty bullpen piece. But overall, I think the bullpen is the least of our worries at this point, especially, you know, Suarez should be back within the next couple of weeks. Hopefully he's good to go. I mean, health is going to be an issue for every team. Hopefully we keep everybody healthy after that. It's not the backseat anymore. Please. Iggy's looked better his last couple outings, you know, after that rough period. So, that's, again, going back to what I said earlier, I think that's some of the frustration, Mike, is we know we're right there, and the Braves have a shot. So we'll see. The next couple of weeks are going to be super interesting. We're actually less than 2 weeks really away from the deadline, or right at 2 weeks. So our next 2 episodes should be a lot of fun to see what's going on, the moves that have been made. and all we can do is wait and see what happens. I do have faith that Anthopoulos is going to do some things, but I think people need to remember. And as big as a critic as I've been of Anthopoulos, I do understand that he can only do what's available. And so if the options are limited, people are going to have to understand, what do you want to do? I mean, do we want to trade Eric Hartman, Didier Fuentes, Tate Southesine, John Hill, Cam Caminiti? We want to trade them all for something that may not even work out, right? So, all right.
Exactly.
Did you have a trivia for us this week? Or are we ready to go?
I do.
Awesome.
I do. Give me 1 sec to pull this up. Okay, so the question from last week was, the Braves hosted All-Star games 5 times: 1936 in Boston when we were the Bees, 1955 in Milwaukee, 1972 in Atlanta Fulton County Stadium, 2000 in Turner Field, and 2025 in Truist. 2 players have homered as Braves in the All-Star games at our fields. Can you name them?
Well, I know them now. I knew one for sure. I wasn't sure about the other one, but it's pretty obvious. So I'll give the audience time to think about it if they want to have a minute, and then I'll give the answers. Dun, dun,
I was gonna say,
dun,
we've had no comments, like basically except for like one show.
I know we need some participation, guys. Yeah,
feel free to comment.
I guess we're gonna we talked about doing a giveaway. I haven't done it yet. We talked about doing some tickets or something. We'll have to do something to encourage people to participate. Yeah. So we'll look at that for the next episode. It was Chipper Jones in 2000.
It was,
and it was Hammer and Hank in 1972.
Correct.
So the 2 you would, if you were just guessing, probably the 2 you would have guessed, being is that Dale Murphy wasn't around for either of those All-Star games. So that's the 2 you probably would have picked out of a hat if you were just guessing at it. So Hammer and Hank and Chipper. Go ahead.
And I would have been impressed if anyone could have told me any player from the 1936 Boston Bees.
Yeah, as much as a baseball fan as I am, no.
As much as a baseball historian I am, no, I have no idea.
No clue. I'd have to pull out the baseball reference on that one.
That's what.
All right, what's this week's question, Mike?
All right. So I forget exactly where I found this, but I was like, that's a perfect trivia question. So before we had Neon Dion playing for the Braves and Falcons, there was this former Milwaukee Braves pitcher. He was the first person to win a sports championship in 2 different sports. One World Series in 1957 with the Milwaukee Braves, and in 1959, 60, and 61 with the Boston Celtics. Okay. Can you name him?
Wow.
This one's a toughie.
I've never heard that. That's a good one, man. You've done it again, Mike. You've done it again. That's a good one, because I've never heard that. That's crazy.
Yeah.
I thought you were going to go the route of the other Braves 2-way player from the 90s, turned broadcaster later on. Played for the Falcons, Cardinals.
Brian Jordan.
Brian Jordan, yeah. I thought that's where you were headed for a second. Yeah.
No.
All right, good stuff. So, yeah. All right, look, folks, if you're watching us on X, come up with the answer. Put it in the comments next week when we come back. And we'll hook you up with some kind of Braves gear until I can do a ticket giveaway. We'll get that going, but need some participation from you guys. Like, let's have some fun with this, right?
Exactly.
All right, so the Braves are back at it tomorrow night, Friday night, hosting the Texas Rangers, who are also in first place right now in the AL West. AL West is kind of a mess right now, but they are in first place. So let's get back to it. Let's win this series over the weekend at home and get the second half of the season. We call it the second half of the season. It's really almost 3/4 of the way over, but let's get the second half kicked off the right way, Mike. Hopefully when we come back next week, we'll have a really good week to talk about. And who knows, maybe some deals will have happened. We've already seen a couple deals around baseball. Lance McCullers getting traded yesterday, so some things going on. So
he went to the Brewers, right?
See. Yeah, to the Brewers. I think the Brewers aren't done yet. I think the Brewers I don't know if they're going to go after Skubal, but I think they may go all in here and try to finally get back to that World Series that has eluded them since I was 5 years old. So we were 5 years old. I always think of you as so much younger. We're the same age. It's crazy. But yeah, so good
You-
stuff.
You only got me by 5 months. That's it.
I know but look at it. I got the beard, the gray, and you're still got you got the young kids. My kids are grown, so
Yeah.
Yeah, but good stuff, man. I appreciate you accommodating my time. I'm running over a little bit. I may get yelled at a little bit. Yeah. It's all good. So thanks to our audience, and we're going to be back next week. And I have a good feeling. I'm going to be positive, Mike. I'm going to be positive this week. We're going to have a good week. Braves are going to do it, starting with a series win over the Texas Rangers this weekend.
Well, it's a short week because we should be live again on Monday, since it's only the Texas Rangers that we have to face.
True. So if we just win that series, we're gonna have a really good episode on Monday. So that's all we're asking for, Atlanta. That's all we're asking for. Braves win 2 games. That's all we need. All right. I got a jet. Thank you guys. We'll be back next week. Thanks for joining us, and we'll see you at the ballpark. Go Braves.